Have temperatures in Antarctica not increased in more than 70 years? No, that's not true. A climatologist and global climate expert told Lead Stories that it is evident that temperatures are increasing across the Antarctic. According to official data, land surface temperatures in the region have increased an average of 0.16 degrees Fahrenheit, 0.09 degrees Celsius, per decade since 1950, for a total of 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 degrees Celsius, over that time frame. A version of the claim originated in an article published by The Daily Skeptic on January 29, 2023, titled, "Scientists Struggle to Understand Why Antarctica Hasn't Warmed for Over 70 Years Despite Rise in C02." An introduction to the article read, quote, "Scientists are scrambling to explain why the continent of Antarctica has shown net zero warming for the last 7 decades and almost certainly much longer. The lack of warming over a significant portion of the Earth undermines the unproven hypothesis that the carbon dioxide humans add to the atmosphere is the main determinant of global climate." End quote. Below is how the article appeared at the time of this publication. Source: The Daily Skeptic. Screenshot taken Saturday, April 7, 0 hours 0 minutes and 35 seconds. Coordinated Universal Time 2023. At least one social media post used a screenshot of just the headline of the article and a caption that read, "Ha ha 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 ha, hashtag climate change," to spread the claim. Iterations of the claim have circulated on social media since at least August 2022, reported USA Today in a fact-check of a similar claim. In an email to Lead Stories received April 10, 2023, Ahira Sanchez Lugo, a global climate expert and climatologist with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, National Centers for Environmental Information, stated that though climate variability still plays a role and can affect yearly temperatures across the region, it is evident that temperatures are increasing across the Antarctic. Quote, "According to NOAA Global Temp V5.1.0, the land surfaces in the latitude 60s to 90s, the yearly temperature has increased at an average rate of 0.09 deg-C per decade since 1950. This is consistent with the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, which states that observations show a widespread, strong warming trend starting in the 1950s in the Antarctic Peninsula. Significant warming trends are observed in other West Antarctic regions and at selected stations in East Antarctica. Medium confidence." End quote. The educational teaching resource University Corporation for Atmospheric Research, UCAR, writes that since 1950, the Antarctic Peninsula has warmed a total of 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 degrees Celsius, more than anywhere else in the Southern Hemisphere. However, the patterns of temperature change vary across Antarctica, which is larger than the continental U.S. Geographers divide the Antarctic continent into 3 regions: East Antarctica, West Antarctica, and the Antarctic Peninsula, the last 2 of which are warming faster than East Antarctica and the interior part of the continent. Many long-term measurements from Antarctic research stations show no significant warming or cooling trends, and temperatures over most of the continent have been relatively stable over the past few decades, wrote the British Antarctic Survey in 2022. However, the Antarctic Peninsula and large parts of West Antarctica warmed significantly over the second half of the 20th century, although the warming stabilized near the start of the 21st century, reflecting the large climate variability of the region. The climate in Antarctica is influenced by factors beyond the continent, including storms and monsoons in tropical oceans, wind, and atmospheric conditions. NOAA summarized regional variability and overall trends below. Quote, "West Antarctica. A 2013 study reported a temperature increase of 4.3, plus or minus 2.2, degrees Fahrenheit between 1958 and 2010. A 2014 study that reconstructed Antarctic near-surface monthly mean temperatures from 1958 to 2012 concluded that annual temperatures rose 0.40, plus or minus 0.22, degrees Fahrenheit per decade across West Antarctica, and 0.59, plus or minus 0.3, degrees Fahrenheit per decade across the Antarctic Peninsula. East Antarctica. Higher elevations in this region make it more difficult to assess temperature trends. The above 2014 study concluded that temperatures rose by 0.11 plus or minus 0.16 degrees Fahrenheit per decade between 1958 and 2012, but the trend was not statistically significant. East Antarctica's Amundsen-Scott Station at the South Pole saw cooling temperatures in the recent decade. Antarctic Peninsula. Lower in elevation and closer to the equator, this region has experienced rapid temperature increases for several decades in the 20th century. Then, in the late 1990s, temperature increases slowed, and since 2000, the peninsula has actually cooled.